Mobile hack-and-slash Marvel Infinity Blade made quite the splash in 2010 with slick graphics, sharp gameplay, and a refreshingly demanding feel that set it apart from the Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja slumming about the sandbox. Several upgrades and a PvP patch later, the series returns for another bout of Sisyphean swordplay in Infinity Blade 2. Fresh off the grindstone with expanded combat and light RPG elements, the sequel seems fittingly destined to follow its ancestors' footsteps. But does it head towards an enlightened path, or an endless cycle of frustration and death? Despite finally acquiring the titular Sword of Legend at the end of the first game, it isn't long before the cycle begins anew in the second, thanks to an unexpected visit from the thought-to-be-deceased God King and an untimely crossbow bolt to the face. There are no ancestors to avenge you here, but with your newfound immortality, the basic framework of Infinity Blade 2 largely remains the same as you find yourself ascending the treacherous spires of the God King's Keep. Upon being bested in combat, you start right back at the beginning with all the experience and gear you've accumulated up until death. You're much stronger than you started off as a result, but the enemies get increasingly tougher just as you do. It's a constant climb to the top, where seemingly linear routes suddenly splinter off into interesting shortcuts on successive playthroughs, as well as perilous detours that more often than not result in a certain death. After a few cycles of untimely demise, dabbling in different paths becomes an expedition game all unto itself. Combat in Infinity Blade 2 includes lumbering two-handed weapons and speedy dual-wielding as part of the hero's arsenal. Gems, which can be affixed to gear for bonus properties, add a further wrinkle to player choice. Sacrificing a shield for strength or added mobility are valid strategic considerations that promote variety in the battle system's simple yet nuanced dodge and parry game. Even something as seemingly innocuous as your choice of ring begets incredibly useful magical spells, which may turn the tide of a skirmish in a pinch. And it goes without saying that the game's Unreal-powered visuals are quite a sight to behold in motion. As with the first game, Infinity Blade 2 expertly plays to the iOS platform's strengths, rendering many, if not all, of its contemporaries in sharp relief. Future updates promise an augmented game experience that includes multiplayer raid-style encounters called Clash Mobs, but for the present, this aspirant of the App Store is more than equipped to deliver a deep and satisfying experience sure to bleed into multiple lifetimes.